Hello, cruel, cruel world. So as you may have seen on the news recently, the Justice Secretary is considering getting rid of short prison sentences for low-level offenders because short prison sentences are just not effective for a number of reasons, which we shall explore in this very video. My name is Dr. Sohom. I'm a consultant forensic psychiatrist. I assess mentally disordered offenders for a living so that you don't have to. Okay, so why are short prison sentences so ineffective? Well, I think the main factor is that they don't actually allow enough time for rehabilitation. So as you'll probably know, prisons have rehabilitation programs that are designed to help offenders like learn new skills, address the underlying causes of their criminal behaviors. And they simply take a long time. Not only do they take a long time to do, like several months, but from my experience of working in prisons, there's even a waiting list of 3, 4, 5, 6 months sometimes to get onto the course in the first place. So basically the prisoners are coming in and nothing's changing. There's no rehabilitation when they're leaving for short prison sentences. Another reason why I think short prison sentences don't work, and this is contentious, some of you are not going to like this, is because it can actually disrupt the prisoners, the offenders' lives and make it difficult for them to reintegrate into society once they've left. So if they're in for weeks at a time, they can lose their jobs, they can lose their housing, they could struggle with their social relationships. For example, they're bonding with their children and their families. Now, I know some of you watching this are going to be thinking, so what, they deserve it. It's supposed to be a punishment. I suppose it depends what you want. If you're thinking about it emotionally and you just want to punish them, then yeah, what you're saying is correct. But if you think about it logically, in terms of trying to decrease the reoffending rate, then disrupting a prisoner's life, especially if they're struggling in some ways, struggling financially, struggling with the housing, to make it worse when they leave prison is just going to increase the risk of recidivism, increase the risk of reoffending. And finally, they're just not cost effective. So all prison sentences, as I'm sure you know, cost money, cost us, the taxpayers, money, but short prison sentences particularly are not cost effective because they don't reduce recidivism rates in the same way that long sentences do. So as a forensic psychiatrist, I've worked in several prisons. I worked in a large female prison, and I have to say there's a cohort of female prisoners that came in that were very similar. I probably saw, I don't know, 20 or 30 of these in my years working there, where they would come in shoplifting often in the context of social problems like drug and alcohol addiction, like problems kind of in terms of like their accommodation, problems with their family, sometimes history of domestic violence, and they're returning back to the same scenario. So there's some kind of relief from the drug and alcohol use, but there's not enough time for them to be reintegrated. There's not enough time for rehabilitation. There's not enough time to help them with their social problems, like tying them into a community mental health team, like helping them with accommodation, blah, blah, blah. So basically what I'm saying is they leave the same as when they came in terms of their social situation. They don't have money. They're still addicted to alcohol and drugs. So what they're going to do, they're going to continue committing crimes, continue shoplifting. Nothing is solved. So what's the alternative? What has the Justice Secretary suggested? They've suggested that the prisoners do community service instead. So that could be voluntary work, cleaning up the streets, getting rid of graffiti, etc., etc. What do I think? I think it's a good idea in theory, because in theory, it could help the offenders. Well, first of all, it will relieve the pressure of prisons, right? That's the main reason. But also it might help the offenders kind of feel connected to society, feel like they're giving something back. But a system is only as good as the people that work in it. And without trying to throw shade on my colleagues, I think it's fair to say that some services like the probation services, prison officers, have not showered themselves in glory recently. So what I'm saying is it's only as good as the people who run it. So if they make sure the prisoners turn up on time, put in their time, put in their work, then yes, I think it could be a good alternative. If it's run in a kind of shambolic way, then obviously no.